So essentially what we're going to be doing today is I have a bunch of your questions that you left me on an Instagram post I put up I think a couple days ago. I also put it up on Facebook, so I have a few questions from the Facebook post as well. I'll be answering them, and then at the end we will spend some time answering questions you guys have right now. So at the end, make sure you save questions that you want me to answer that I haven't already answered or will have already answered doing this. So give me a sec. For some reason it's not popping up. Usually it pops up by now. Maybe my internet connection's good. Come on, baby. All right, so there we go. Okay. How do you like my thumbnail there? It's awesome. All right, guys. So yeah, let me know where you're from. I'm gonna be able to see your comments in a second. All right. Let's see. The video is working. All right, guys, what's up? I can see all of your comments now. Glasgow, nice, man. Rangers or Celtic? That's the big question. You can't hear what I'm saying. Can you guys hear me? Guys, let me know if you can hear me. I'm going to type it in. Hamilton, Manchester. Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, someone was saying that they can. All right, guys, so just a quick introduction. As you guys know who follow my channel, I'm Dave from SimplySoccer, and we release daily soccer tips, technique, and training videos, and we do these live streams every Friday where we answer your questions. I usually post a question on Instagram or ask you to post your questions on Instagram that I then answer in these live streams. I will also answer your questions that you have now after we get through these questions. So we got... is it Jaffa from Sweden? We have Randall from Boston. We got Ja 11 from England. All right, guys, so let's get right into the questions here. We're going to start off, obviously the title of this is how to come back from an injury in soccer, and we will cover that. But we have a few other questions to get through first. And we got New York and India represented as well. And the first one is, I often feel tight after games, so like tight muscles. Do you have any ideas or methods on how to prevent this? And this is from Zach Brown _9 from Instagram. And the thing is, you're gonna feel tight after games pretty much no matter what. If you've been running and you've been putting the work in and you've tired yourself out, you're going to. But there's a few things you can do to alleviate it quickly. The first is, don't just sit down after you finish the game. Any workout like cardio workout, you should be stretching almost immediately after. The best time to do static stretches, which is non-dynamic stretches, so things like quad stretches, hamstring stretches, things like that, is right after you've exercised, right after you've warmed up your body, you've been moving, you've done an intense workout. That's the best time to do a static stretching. And that's going to immediately help you with the tightness. Now, another thing you can do things like foam rolling and basically just get the knots out of your muscles, because after you've done an intense workout, after you've had a match, you tighten up because you're going from like doing all this work, having the blood pumping through your body, your adrenaline going, to stopping that, and then your body tightens up, your muscles break down so they're very sore. One thing I found really works is, instead of doing nothing the next day, it's go for a light jog, 10-20 minutes, and get the body moving. Don't do anything too intense. That's kind of against the point. You still want to rest, but it's actually found that instead of just resting and doing nothing, like playing video games or whatever it is you do on a relaxing day, you still want to move around a little bit. Now, you can have like one day where you do absolutely nothing if you're just so sore, you feel a little injured, and you don't want to do it. But I found that if I do like a jog or just a light run after a match the next day, or if I stretch immediately after the match, it definitely helps with tightness. It definitely helps with soreness as well. I mean, I'm sure many of you have had a match, like a late match, and you've woken up in the morning just absolutely dying, like your muscles feel like on fire, they're so tight, it's hard to get out of bed. The best thing at that point, just go for a nice run. You're not tiring yourself out, you're not sprinting, it's just a nice brisk jog for 10-20 minutes, get your body warm, get the blood pumping, and then do a little stretch afterwards. And you do that, it's gonna definitely help with tightness, but just recognize that it's normal. When you do that much work, that much intense work in a short period of time, it's just going to make your body like that. But you can do those things to kind of not prevent it, because it's going to happen usually either way, but to alleviate some of that soreness and pain, okay? Hey, oh God, Marco's on. Hey, yes, Marco, don't let your dreams just be dreams. Jesus, man. All right, next question is from Mujtaba10_. How often did you play how often did you play soccer in your high school age? So I'm guessing how much did I play during high school? So during high school, we would have team practices, obviously, team matches. We played in the fall. We had summer preseason. So preseason was every single day, I believe. And we had two-a-days in preseason. I think we didn't do it on weekends, so it was every weekday. And then we sometimes would have like maybe a scrimmage. I forgot a little. It's been a while. But that's what we would do. During the season, obviously, practice every day after school. And then we'd have games usually on weekdays. And we'd have games sometimes on the weekends, like under the lights. That didn't happen every so often. But one thing I did do definitely during high school myself is I had a group of friends from the soccer team, and we used to always, after school, sometimes even after practice, which is probably not the best thing because we should have been resting, we'd go to this local field and we'd play. We'd play like short-sided matches, like 3v3, 4v4, or more, depending on how many people showed up. We'd practice our passing, our skill moves. It was all fun. And one of the things I wish I did in high school a little more was did more deliberate practice, like have a clear focus on what I was practicing and the clear focus on what results I wanted, and had gone after that instead of just being like kind of playing the whole time. But through doing that, because I was playing pretty much every single day, it definitely helped with many things. So I played pretty much every single day. And it was just because I was obsessed. I'm still obsessed. I couldn't go a day without playing, whether it was kicking against the wall behind my house. I would do that a lot in the colder seasons because my friends didn't want to go out to the field on an ice cold day. So there was this wall behind my house attached to a store that I think had been closed down for a long time. And there would never be any cars there, so I could just kick against that, practice my moves, all that. So I would do that most days as well. So I was practicing a lot. And the only thing I would say is, if you're going to do something like that, make sure you incorporate deliberate practice, and that's to say focused practice, where you're like, okay, I want to improve this area, and this area. I'm going to deliberately do these drills, and these drills, and these drills. Because although I did eventually get to that point where I was doing that, when I would go to the wall, I'd usually just, kick against it, without a real purpose. It did improve my touch in other areas as well, because obviously doing it so much helped that. When I went to the field with my friends, again, the purpose was to have fun and just to play around a little. There wasn't like I want to improve my skill moves, I want to improve this and that. It was more just, we're going to go muck around with my friends. So, again, have fun. Obviously, that was fun. I wouldn't not do that. But incorporate deliberate practice into your training as well, where you're focused on a certain thing you want to improve. You're measuring it, you're recording it, you're being as deliberate about it as possible. Okay? So, let's see. Next question is the phrasing of all time. This is from Instagram. And it says, out of weightlifting, cardio, plyometric drills, yoga, professional soccer player studies, so watching professional soccer players play, what do you consider the most important? How would you rank them in order to improve most effectively? And this is a hard question to answer because, these are all very important things. Yoga, you don't have to necessarily do yoga. I would just recommend you stretch in some manner. But these are all important things. Now, weightlifting, you have to be careful with. If you're young, I would recommend you start. It depends how young you are. I don't know how old all of you guys are. But for weight training, you don't want to go immediately to the gym and start lifting really heavy weights. You have to build a foundation first. In fact, I've gone back and I'm on the foundation phase of weightlifting because I kept getting injured. And my mistake was I would get injured and then I thought I could just go back and work out in the same way I was before my injury, which was the wrong move. So I'm actually at this stage again is building up more of a foundation. So with weightlifting, you want to build up a foundation. You're not necessarily trying to lift too heavy. You want to kind of strengthen every muscle group, and then you can worry about lifting heavy. And this is very important because weightlifting is definitely going to help you with not only how muscular you become and how strong on the ball, but it's going to help your muscular endurance as well. Lactic acid buildup is going to come into play with cardio. If you guys have ever been playing and you've been a little bit out of shape and you've been running and you notice like your legs get very tired, that's a buildup of lactic acid, and you want a tolerance to that. So that's why cardio, not only for like not getting winded and not only being able to play 90 minutes, but if you're able to play 90 minutes without getting winded, but your legs are getting tired, your body's getting tired, you can't really run at full capacity for most of the match, that's a problem as well. So what I would say is these are all important, but there are different times to be doing each. So For example, there's going to be a preseason phase where you're going a little harder at a lot of this stuff. Probably a lot harder at the cardio. You're going to be incorporating a lot of weightlifting stuff. You should already have the foundation pretty much built in by early preseason, I would say. Later preseason, you're going to really go into the cardio. I'm just thinking this is more of a video idea I should be doing. Plyometrics, again, you want to build up a foundation before you go too hard into plyometrics. And guys, there are plenty of other channels as well you can watch that will give you a ton of information on this stuff, who have been working out longer than me and probably have more information, but this is just kind of my general knowledge. Yoga, you don't, again, have to necessarily do yoga. What you want to be doing is stretching, I would say at least 3 to 4 times a week after your cardio workouts. When your body's warm, that's when you want to be stretching. You do not want to just leave your room or leave wherever you are and then just stretch after having done nothing. You want to make sure, like after maybe an interval training session, that's the perfect time afterwards to stretch because your body's warm, and that's the perfect time to do static stretching. Dynamic stretching, on the other hand, you can do even if you haven't necessarily done any cardio, okay? So, really, in conclusion, every single one of these is important. There's many nuanced things about them. Professional soccer players studying professional soccer players to, emulate them and to learn from them. I think you should be doing that often. Maybe, you should be watching professional matches of a high level as often as you can. Watch the Champions League, watch the Premier League, watch La Liga, German Bundesliga, whatever you have access to. And after that, you'll start getting a better idea certain nuanced things in games you may have not been picking up on. The more matches you watch, high-level matches, the more you'll pick up on mistakes, the more you'll pick up on, subtle things that you may have not noticed before. So definitely be doing that. So I know that didn't completely answer your question because I don't really want to rank each one. They're all important. Obviously, maybe if I had to choose one, I would say cardio, because if you can't, play for 90 minutes and you're getting winded and, your legs are getting tired, then that's going to prevent you from really doing anything. But weightlifting is also important. Everything you mentioned is really important. Okay, so let's see here. Next is Tucker Paddock _Paddock. What's up, man? 10. Tucker, I know, has been subscribed for a while, and he asks, my coach doesn't like it when I take more than 4 touches. But I feel like I play better if I hold up the ball longer than the average high school midfielder. My coach says an attacking midfielder shouldn't hold on to the ball long because if I was to turn it over, a counterattack would happen too fast to defend it. How can I prevent a counterattack and still hold the ball long enough to pick out a good pass? All right, it's a good question. So I'm assuming when you're saying CAM, you're playing right behind the striker. I'm surprised your coach has limited you to only 4 touches because, especially for your position, the center attacking midfield position is more of a free role, like it's a creative role. You think of like many famous CAMs or players who have played there before. You think of like a Coutinho's comes to mind. I think Kevin De Bruyne plays there sometimes. Ronaldinho sometimes would play in that position. You think of players who played there, they're always creative types that like to dribble, that like to be creative, that like to play in good through balls, that would take more than 4 touches a lot of the time. I think what he's trying to teach you is you need to play quickly sometimes because each situation is going to be different. There are going to be times when you get the ball and someone's going to make a run and you don't have the time, if you want to play that ball, to take more touches. There's going to be times when someone closes you down right away and you can't hold on to the ball or you're going to get crowded out. But that is a weird thing, I think, for him to say if he's saying don't take more than 4 touches. That's a weird number as well. I've never heard 4 touches. I've heard 2 touches. I've heard 1 touch. I've never heard 4 touches. But what I would say is just you have to learn to assess the situation. Every situation is going to be different. If you can turn and you have plenty of space and space is there to be run into, then you should probably do that. Each situation is going to be different. If you get the ball and a man's on your back right away and there isn't really time to dribble, the situation and call for it, you need to play safe in that moment, then you need to go ahead and do that. You see, it's going to be different every single time. Now, again, you're going to have to judge this if you, again, find yourself in space. And again, you're in a CAM position. Take some risks. Be creative. You are in a position where you want to be setting up your teammates for goals. You want to be scoring yourself. You want to be taking players on. That doesn't mean do it every single time. Being an impact player means you got to be unpredictable. But definitely, I mean, it's just confusing that he says that. Now, about preventing the counterattack, sometimes you just can't. What I would do is just make sure you're being smart about it. Like, don't be running at everyone every single time. Don't be taking everyone on every single time. But you should definitely be trying those through balls. You should definitely be trying to take people on sometimes. Definitely be trying to shoot. But on the flip side, you definitely sometimes need to just touch the ball a couple times, maybe even once, and pass it off. Or maybe you have a man closing you down, you need to play it right back to the player who played it to you. You know, it's going to depend on the situation. Your coach might just be saying that to you to kind of drill in your head that you want to be taking a few touches. I don't know how your team plays, but if they're a quick passing team, if you guys are a quick team that likes to pass around a lot, then if you hold on to the ball too long, you kind of ruin that flow a little bit and you kind of slow down the play. So also recognize, when do you need to speed it up? So when do you need to play like 2-touch and 3-touch? And when can you just take the ball and run with it? Okay, so it's going to come down to what's the situation and what you need to do in there. Okay, so give me 1 second here, guys. All right, we have a few more questions here. Then we're going to get into your questions. So we're a possession team, so that's why I'm guessing. Okay, so yeah, there you go. If you're a team that plays possession, and you like to kind of hold on to possession and dominate possession and kind of like make the other team run chasing the ball, then that makes sense, because if you hold on to it too long, then it might disrupt. You have to understand like what's happening in the play that's going on. So if it's like quick passing, give and goes, and then you get the ball and then hold on to it, and your teammates made that run where he needs you to play him quickly, maybe that's why he wants you to play quickly. But just understand the situation, because even in a possession-based team, there's going to be opportunities for you to run at them. There's going to be opportunities for you to hold on to the ball a lot longer. You just have to recognize when those opportunities are. Remember, mix it up. Be unpredictable. Like, unpredictable players are dangerous. If you just pass it off every single time, that's as bad as dribbling it every single time. You know, there needs to be some risk. And as a center attacking midfield player, you are a player who is creative. You are a player who can afford to take risks. You're not like a center defensive mid who has to be a little more careful about dribbling the ball. So definitely, it's going to depend on the situation. But if your team tactics are keep possession, play quick, pass around, stick to that, but definitely look out for those opportunities where you can take a man on and dribble. And think of it this way, don't do it for the sake of dribbling, or don't do it for the sake of holding on to the ball too long. Think, if I do this, will it benefit my team? If I pull this off, will it benefit my team? So that's one way to frame it and to take a look at it. Okay, we're going to do, we have 4 more questions, then we're going to move on to your questions here. I'll answer, Miko, actually pretty good. I'm like a few weeks away from being able to train pretty hard again. So here we go. Next is from Babyana_. How do you stay healthy and fit while maintaining a good diet? And what kind of food do you eat? I'm assuming that means what do I eat? Also, how to get faster reflexes and be able to move the ball more quickly and sharply. So that's kind of 2 questions, but we'll answer the first one. Healthy and fit and maintaining a good diet are all one thing. You can't really expect to just be like really good at working out and sticking to your workouts and then eat like crap and then expect to be fit. Same with the other way around. You can't expect to just eat well and then never work out and then be in good shape or be healthy or be fit. You need both. And as far as healthy and fit, it's going to depend on the person and where you are currently. So for me, like, I'm just coming off an injury, so for me to go right back into extremely intense workouts after coming off an injury would be very stupid of me. I have to build up that foundation again and ease my way into it, 1, to prevent injury, and 2, because my fitness is not going to be where it was before injury, if that makes sense. So how to stay healthy and fit is going to be determined by where you are right now. If you're pretty fit and pretty healthy right now, you can kind of up the intensity. Make yourself a workout schedule. I think that's very important. Literally schedule out your weeks and include your workouts. Have a workout plan. Research what are the workouts you need to be doing right now. If you're in mid-season, for example, like if you're in the middle of your season, your workouts are going to be different than if you're in preseason. If you're in preseason, your workouts are going to be different than if you're in off-season. So it's very seasonal how you should be working out. It's very determined by where you are currently as well. So make sure you're doing your research on looking up like workout schedules for soccer players in the middle of a season, right? And take a look and see what can apply for you. Also, start journaling and logging your workout results. This is something I should have been doing for a lot longer, but I only started like a few months ago. I was doing it for soccer practice, but I never thought, oh, maybe I should do this for my workouts as well. You know, get your journal out, log out what are the workouts you're doing, what weights are you using if you're weight training. If you're doing like cardio, you know, I was running at 90% for this long, I did interval training like this, and you'll start being able to see the progression, but also tweak things. You'll go, okay, I tried this weight today, but it was a little too heavy, so next week I'm gonna do this weight. Or the other way around, you could say, I lifted with this weight, I noticed this was a good weight, but I'm gonna try and do a little more next week. So that's a few things. Make sure you have a plan, a system you can follow. That's it. If you try and wing it, you're just not gonna do it. If you wing your workouts, just like you try and wing your soccer practices, you're not gonna really make as much progress. Yet if you make a schedule, you stick to it, you journal about it, you log about it, you ask yourself what's going well, what's not going well, and you answer those questions, you can follow your schedule and tweak it as you go. You know, you don't have to rigidly stick to it because there will be changes, but you need a system, meaning you need a schedule that you have, whether it's like a 6-week, 7-week, full season, full year, however crazy you want to go. Do your research on it and recognize that everyone's is going to be different based on where you currently are in the season and based where you are personally. Okay, so eating a good diet, I mentioned this in the last one. Again, I'm probably not the expert at this. You know, just eat healthy. I know that's such a simple answer, but you know, like lean meats, stuff like chicken and fish is great for you. You know, carbohydrate, you know, brown rice is great. Sweet potatoes are great. Getting the greens in there as well. Fruits and vegetables, lean meats. You know, if you're eating candy, if you're eating junk, if you're doing stuff like that, and then you expect yourself to have energy and you expect yourself to be healthy and fit, it's just not going to happen, right? You don't have to overcomplicate it. I stick to pretty much the same eating schedule. So you did ask, what do I eat? Usually on like a good typical day, it's a smoothie in the morning, followed by you know, some kind of protein like tuna or something of that nature. Sometimes I'll eat like deli meats or something and make a sandwich. Sometimes I'll do tuna on rice cakes. I'll also eat some nuts at that time, so like almonds, cashews, something of that nature. And I'll have some kind of fruit. So apple, orange, something of that nature. A few hours later, I have sweet potatoes and another piece of fruit, sometimes a little more depending on how hungry I am. Dinner is usually always lean meat, rice, some vegetables, usually bell pepper is something I really like, red bell pepper. And then maybe I will have something a little later like a protein shake. But again, this will sometimes I'll mix this up a little bit, but that's generally what I eat. You do not have to follow this. You know, again, everyone's different. What I eat does not have to be what you eat. Just, you know, stick to getting carbohydrates in there, good protein in there, vitamins and minerals, which is going to come from your vegetables, a lot of energy from that as well. So, you know, the 80-20 rule is a pretty good one to use. 80% clean, 20% fun is what that is, meaning you eat 80% of the time really, really well, but you're not, you know, you can eat like that piece of cake or that candy bar every now and then. You don't have to be crazy about it, but that's going to be up to you. You can make that 90-10, you can go 100% healthy. That's up to you, but just as far as maintaining a good diet, don't overcomplicate it too much. If you find a diet you like if you look up soccer diets and you find one, you're like, oh, I could do that. And don't be afraid to stick to the same thing every single day. I mean, it might get a little boring. You might have to switch things in and out, but you know, that's discipline you're going to need at some point. I'll answer your next question very quickly as well. How do you get faster reflexes and how are you able to move the ball or move with the ball quickly and sharply? And it's just going to come from the different drills that you do. It's just going to come from practice. Like one for faster reflexes that I really like are ones like spontaneous dribbling, Ronaldo box, Ronaldinho box. All of them work with not only being able to move with the ball quickly and sharply and turn quickly, it does work on your reflexes. Ladder drills and plyometric drills are good for faster feet. Actually, ladder drills are. Plyometric drills is more for kind of power, like jumping power and sprint speed and stuff like that. But definitely ladder drills I found help the quickness of my feet. So you can start getting into those as well. And definitely start doing Ronaldo box, Ronaldinho box. Spontaneous dribbling is the best one I can think of for reflexes. And Ronaldo and Ronaldinho box I think are really good for quick feet, along with cone drills. And all those videos I have up on the channel. And if you need links to those, just email me or something or leave a comment and I'll try and get them to you. Next question. I'm not going to be able to pronounce your name. I'm so sorry. It's from, jeez, something Yoshi from Instagram. He says, or she says, I don't know, I train 4 hours for 5 days in a week. Is it too much? So I'm assuming you mean during the weekdays you train 4 hours every single day. Honestly, depending on where you're at right now, maybe not. You know, there are people who, for example, do weight training and have like 2 hours or an hour and a half or 2 hours of like physical training without the ball, and then they'll do something with the ball as well. Now it is excessive a little bit maybe, but it all depends on where you are. For example, if you're someone who's never worked out before, you haven't really done much training, you should not be doing that much. For the most part, you want to build your way up. And I only say that because I don't want you to get injured or anything like that. But if you've been doing this and you can do this and your body's not feeling tired, you're feeling energized, you're not getting injured, then I say keep doing it. You know, if you are feeling tired though, your body's sore, you need a rest. Make sure you're taking that. But as I can see, you have 5 days a week, you said, and then 2 rest days, I would assume. So if that's working for you, I wouldn't say it's too much. You know, don't let anyone like put a limit on how much is too much or how little. You know, like it's up to you, really. You just make sure you're listening to your body. Make sure, I hope I'm not, my thing's frozen. I hope I'm still working here. Just make sure you listen to your body. Make sure that if you're getting sore, you're taking the rest that you need. And just, you know, the biggest thing I can say is just listen to your body. If it's telling you need a rest, take a rest. If it's telling you you're good, man, keep going, then doing 4 hours, 5 days a week is incredible and really good, and it's just going to make you better. Okay? Again, it depends, but it's really going to come down to, can you do it? You know, listen to your body. Don't injure yourself, because that's the last thing you want. I know you want to keep training more and more, but if you injure yourself, you're just going to take steps backwards, and you don't want to do that. Okay, we have 2 more questions, and then we'll move on to your questions. It seems I am frozen, so am I frozen? Can you guys still hear me and see me? I hope so. I'm going to assume that you can. I'm assuming this is something that's going on with my computer. And I'm good. All right, cool. I was getting worried there. All right, so next, this is from Facebook. It's Krim Dzar. I can't pronounce your name. I'm so sorry. All these names are from different countries. I'm so bad at pronouncing. I can barely pronounce American names as well, or English names. So how to come back to your best level after a big injury, 7 months with no training because of injury. So I'm assuming he's saying he's gone 7 months with no training because of injury. And this is funny because I actually had an 8-month injury layoff at one point. So, you know, this is very, I can relate to this. And this is basically what the main question of the live stream is how do you come back from injury? We'll go over like a long-term injury, and then we'll go over like short-term injuries that last a month or less. So for a long injury, I know it's very frustrating. It's very demoralizing, especially if you're a very committed player. You know, there's nothing worse than not being able to play the game that you love for long periods of time. And I experienced that firsthand, and I didn't even handle it that well. I really, if I could go back and deal with my injury differently, I totally would. First and foremost, and the biggest thing that helped me is if you can go to a physical therapist, visit all the medical professionals you can so they can tell you what you need to do. They can give you all the details on your injury, and they can give you a plan of how to get over it. Because for the first maybe even a few months, I didn't see a physical therapist. I just thought maybe it'll heal itself, and it just wasn't getting any better. So I thought, okay, I've got to. And I wish I had done that on day one. I should have gone and seen, you know, I did get x-rays and stuff, and that wasn't very, that helpful. They said, we don't know. So when I went to a physical therapist, they immediately gave me stretches, and within a week, I was feeling so much better. I mean, I wasn't injury-free in a week, but I was in a lot of pain, and that got rid of a lot of the pain. And just through doing those stretches, doing exercises that helped me to come back quicker, it allowed me probably to come back faster than I would have if I hadn't done those. So first thing is make sure you're dealing with it. You know, I know it's easy to get down. I know it's easy to get depressed about it. Trust me, I went through all of that. I know it sucks. I mean, I hate getting injuries like I have now, which keep me out for a little bit, let alone an 8-month or 7-month injury. They're terrible. But the biggest thing is, try and keep your spirits up, because it's going to be a little bit. And the more your spirits are up, the more you can focus on getting better. Second is, once you have a plan, once you've seen the physical therapist, they give you what you need to be doing. You just got to stay consistent with that. It's just like when you're training, when you're injury free, you get better through consistency. Well, you're going to get better. Your body's going to get better through consistently doing what you need to do to get better. Okay, that may be very, very simple and easy to say, but that's it. So I actually think you're asking this question because you're just getting back from injury. So here's what you got to do. You ease your way into it. When I came back, I was very reluctant to get back into playing right away because I was like, I really don't want to re-injure myself. I had no idea where I stood. I knew I was going to be in terrible shape. I knew, I was probably going to suck a little bit because I hadn't touched a ball really in a long time, or at least not in like a real match situation kind of way. And the thing is, just take it a day at a time. Don't think that you have to go right back into it and play as well as you did before your injury. I know, again, that's hard, and I went through that as well. Like, I was so upset at first. I couldn't do the things I could before the injury, but I just had to work my way back day by day once the injury was over. I started from the beginning with my fitness. I started from the beginning with my training. I made sure I was not biting off more than I could chew. I made like a mini schedule for myself to follow and kind of feel it out to see if it would work, and I kept tweaking it. And that's what you got to do as well. And the biggest thing, again, is just don't get down, because you are going to come back into training and it's going to be different. It's going to be a little different. You're going to feel a little out of shape, maybe a lot. You're going to feel like you're off the pace, but just recognize that it will come back. Be persistent is, I think, the word I was looking for. Persistence is really going to help you with this. Just keep going. Maybe you have a bad practice. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. Eventually you'll get back up to your fitness. Eventually you'll get back to the level of playing that you were at, and then you can move beyond that. Eventually you'll get your confidence back. It'll all come back as long as you keep moving forward and you keep being persistent. It's the same, for like any injury, really, long term. I mean, if you think of a professional, there are players who have broken their legs and had horrific injuries that have kept them out for 12 months. And, this is like their whole life as well. So obviously they're going to get upset, but they come back. They do the physical training they need to do. I know they have professional people around them to help them, but then they come back. They understand they need to work their fitness back. They understand they need to get back to that level, and they don't rush it. That's a big thing. Like, professional, they don't rush it. Their managers won't let them. So you need to have that discipline. Don't rush back. Ease your way back into it. Be persistent, and you'll get there. You'll get there. Okay. So we have one more question, and then I'm going to answer your questions. So my screen is still frozen. Start asking them. If you put hashtag SimplySoccer or at SimplySoccer, it's a lot easier, but we'll see. So Kristen Sill, this is the last question. I think I'm pronouncing your name right. Thanks for having a much easier name. How do you stay focused and disciplined for a long time? It's a good question. The big thing, the great thing actually about focus and discipline is the longer you are focused and disciplined, the easier it becomes. So, and the other thing I would say is about that is when you start developing discipline and you start focusing in other areas of your life, it kind of spills over into others as well. So let's, for example, say you want to start getting up a certain time in the morning, and you've disciplined yourself to do that. You'll start noticing that you're becoming more disciplined in other areas. But let's go over some tactical things. First is, again, have a schedule. Have goals and things you are following. Because if you're just trying to wing everything, if you're just trying to accomplish something, but you don't have it written out, you have no idea where you're going, you have no idea where you are, you're not even going to be able to start to develop the discipline you need to get there. Discipline requires clarity. Without it, it's really hard to even begin. So you need to know, what is it you want to do? Where is it that you want to go? For example, what do you want to be disciplined in? That's the first. So what do I want to develop discipline in? Do you want to get up? Do you want to make sure you're practicing? Okay, well, that's the question. I want to get up. What time do I want to get up? This time. Okay, what do I need to do in order to encourage myself to get up at that time? What do I need to do to make my thought process say I must get up at that time? So then you start answering that question. You keep asking until you get to a point where you're like, I've got a plan, right? You have now your plan to develop discipline there. Next, let's say it's soccer practice. You say, okay, I need to be more disciplined in my practice. First, okay, what do I want to get better at? This. All right. where am I right now with this? I'm right here. Where do I want to go? I want to go to here. This is the level I want to get at. Okay, how do I go from there to there? I have to do this. How much do I have to do each day to do that? You start answering it until it becomes like so clear on what you have to do, and then you schedule that in. Then you kind of go through that schedule, you keep tweaking and adjusting, you keep journaling, you keep improving it, and recognize when you're first starting to develop it, and I don't have perfect discipline at all. You know, I'm still working on this area of my life. It's better than it's ever been in my life, but I'm still working on this as well. But what I recognize is, one, I have to keep tweaking it, and two, and this is probably the most important one, is let's say you've done something for 15 days, but on the 16th day, you don't do it. Just bounce back and do it on the 17th day. If you miss something, just keep going. I think what happens a lot of the time, if you guys are like me, is I'll try and discipline myself on something. I'll get like 10 or 11 days into it and then miss the 12th. Not always. Sometimes I'll go much further, and sometimes I'll go all the way and still have things that I'm doing today. But sometimes, especially if it's brand new, I'll be able to do it for a week or two, but then I'll miss a day. The important thing then isn't to go, oh well, I've ruined it. The important thing then is to just bounce back the next day. And then maybe you go a week again and miss it, bounce back again, because it's still going to build up the more that you do it. But if you do it for a week, you miss a day, and then you give up, you've just ruined all that progress. So let's say you do it, let's say you work out for 3 weeks, pretty hard, you're disciplined, you're strategic, you're eating well as well, but then you miss a day, and then you're like, oh well, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow. And the next day you're like, oh well, I'll do it the next day. And eventually you've gone a whole week or two without working out. Well, you just ruined that progress. Where if you had just bounced back from missing a day, you'd be right on track. Okay, so there are some things for you. Physiotherapist. Okay, so guys, I'm still frozen on the screen. I hope I'm not talking to myself here. So guys, ask me your questions. All right, I see the first one is from Forrest Pat. I'm guessing that's Tucker. What's up, man? I forgot to ask the last time we chatted, but I have a big game coming up, men's league final. It's a little nerve-wracking. What can I do to be ready for it physically and mentally? 100% physically and mentally. Big game coming up. All right, man. Yeah, so I do have a video called How to Prepare for a Big Soccer Match or something. Definitely take a look at that. And you know what? Yeah, you're going to have, the nerves are normal to have in these situations. I'm assuming is it your final? I know you won your semifinal. That's the last I've been updated. But as far as physically goes, you're in the season, so I'm assuming you're in shape, you're physically ready to go, so I won't really cover that. Just, make sure you're relaxing the day before. Don't do anything too strenuous. Maybe go for a light jog, but you don't want to tire yourself out. Definitely visualization technique. I'm sure you've tried that before. One of the biggest games I ever played in was a final in college against it was like the second or first ranked team in the nation at the time. And on the way, we had a 2-hour bus ride there. And the one thing I did, and I did this accidentally, I was just like, what can I do to make sure I have an amazing game, right? So I used that visualization technique for like an hour on that bus. I blasted music, I didn't let anyone disturb me, and I focused on visualizing success in that match in the sense of beating players one-on-one, scoring goals, and I had my best game of the whole season then. That's how I prepared mentally for that one. You can use that one. That one's definitely one I recommend. Other than that, just try and regain try and keep your confidence. Watch any video you need to with tactics and things you can do to remain confident. The nerves are normal. I'm assuming when you get out there, you'll be fine after a few minutes. Get some touches on the ball before the game as well. So if your first touch isn't in the match, I go over that in the preparation video. But definitely my biggest trick, if you can call it a trick, but tactic that I use is that visualization technique, is it gets you in the right frame of mind, it instills you with confidence. Again, your brain cannot tell the difference between a visualization that's very vivid and reality. I'm not gonna get too much into that because that's some totally different stuff, but that would be what I would do. Again, do anything else, if you have some pre-game rituals you do, now's the time not to stop doing those things, okay? So that video and that are the ones that I have. All right, guys, so let's get some more questions in here. Yeah, definitely, dude. Good luck, by the way. I heard you won the semifinals. That's right. Yeah, definitely get into that kind of it's focus time, right? Now don't do anything you normally wouldn't, but if you've gotta do what you gotta do, so if you need to put yourself in that right state of mind, you need to, let whoever would bother you or any of your teammates know, look, I need to focus. If it's 30 minutes, an hour before the game, maybe even 2 hours, do whatever you need to do. This is a final, man. Mine was the final as well. I had never done that visualization technique before that, but I was like, screw this. This is the final. I'm not taking any chances. I'm doing everything I can do to make sure I have an amazing performance and hopefully we can win, if that makes sense. Okay. Can you name pairs of boots for a fast striker? Honestly, I can't. I'm really bad with boots. Mercurial, Vapor, anything like that are ones that I usually use. Okay, let's see if we can get any more in here. Okay, so Always Working is asked, I do the dribbling challenge a lot and ball control one and first touch pass really consistently. Some days I'm not really showing my dribbling a lot. I still score goals, but some day I'm not sure what the question is there. You're Always Working. Is there more to that? Because if you can see this, put it in there. Okay, what was your worst injury? I'll answer that really quick while you guys are asking some more. So my worst injury was that one that kept me out for 8 months. It was my back. I think what was it? It was like what was it called? Like a herniated disc or something like that. I had sciatica as well, if any of you know what that is. Just, really, you don't want back injuries. They suck. That was the worst one I've had. I've had other injuries as well, knee injuries, hamstring, a lot of injuries that I think of, but they were never that serious. They were always kind of like a month or two at most, maybe a few weeks. So that was definitely the worst one. Okay, so we're already been going on for 40 minutes, and it looks like a lot of you don't have any questions anymore. So I'm gonna answer like one more, and then we'll call it a day for this. So, okay, here's one from Izzy Lane. Asks, how can you handle really bumpy pitches as I play on them a lot? I played on my fair share of really crappy pitches where it's just mud and maybe some grass or just dirt, and just like if there's any grass you're really lucky, or it's just, it just sucks. The thing about it is there isn't too much you can do. You just kind of have to try and play your game and kind of adapt to the pitch you're on. I mean, if you're playing on turf, for example, you're going to play a little differently if you're on a very bouncy pitch. So recognize that you're on it. So on a bouncy pitch, I tend to not dribble maybe as much as I would normally because I know that the ball's just going to kind of bounce away from me. I try and pass it off a lot more. I get my body behind the ball if it's coming my way, because if I just stick a leg out and try and control it, it may just hop over it. It really isn't the best situation, I understand that, and it'd be much nicer to play on a smooth grass pitch or a turf pitch, one of those. You just got to make the best of your situation. What I would say is, just be aware, anticipate something going wrong, if that makes sense. So if the ball's coming towards you, get prepared to control it in whatever normal way you would, but be prepared for it to bounce poorly, right? Because what I used to do, and it never helped me, is I used to always complain about the pitch and then blame it if I had a bad performance. And that wasn't the right, because everyone's playing on the pitch. It's 22 people on the same field. So, you all are at a disadvantage. You all have the same situation to deal with. So one thing is, don't complain about it. Just do the best you can with what you have and anticipate the bad things happening. So if you have a ball coming your way and it's bouncing towards you and you're ready to control it, just make sure you're prepared for it to take a bad bounce so you can hopefully react to it. Same with really any other situation. Really, in conclusion, it's not the best thing. It does suck, and I get it. I mean, throughout my childhood, I played on so many bad pitches. You just kind of got to get used to playing on it, and you got to make the most of it. Now, the advantage is if you do that, if you start anticipating the bad bounces, if you start making the most of it, you'll probably have a little more of an advantage over other players who are using it as an excuse for their poor performance. Okay, so let's see. Let's answer. Okay, I see one more here. All right, this will be the last one. Actually, we'll do one more after this. Are you going to collab with another YouTuber any day soon? I've been thinking about it. So I don't know, like right now, because I've been doing a video a day and I've been really consumed by that and had to put so much energy, I haven't really given it too much thought, but it's definitely something I have down as like, maybe there's a potential to do some kind of challenge video or some kind of fun video with another YouTuber. So, I definitely would be open to it. Okay. All right, so last question. The Game Lane asks, I try to practice every day, but there's snow on the ground outside, and I'm not allowed to practice indoors. Any ideas? That's a tough one, man. I'd say, you know, I have snow on the ground right now as well. If there's any space you can find, any facility you can go to, you know, anything where there's not snow, maybe that's still outside, maybe like a parking lot, because those will be cleared out. That's what I would usually do, especially if I was back when I was a kid. But that wall, the parking lot would always be cleared out because they would plow the snow away. So you can do that if you can't do it inside. You don't need a grass field to go practice. I mean, the great thing about soccer is you just need a ball and yourself, and you can go almost anywhere with it and get some training done. I mean, I know it's not as fun to shoot on a wall or to play on concrete as it is on a nice grass pitch with a net, but you got to make the most of what you have. You know, adapt to whatever situation you're in. Okay? So I think that's going to be it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I'm still frozen on the screen, so I really hope you can see me right now. And I hope this has all gone through. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. We will have a video tomorrow at the usual time, which will be 5 p.m. I will have another Instagram post with questions for next week's live stream. Until then, take care. I'm going to get up now and turn this off, which is going to be very awkward. All right, guys. So, whoops. Take care. How do I do this? There we go. Whoops again.